I drove to the Texas coast this morning to take a sandcastle building class from a professional. Because if I'm gonna build the life I love, I might as well start here. Welcome to Whisked Away by Angela. Here you'll come with me on all my adventures, both big and small. There's something about a day that always stands out, something that really sticks with me. So we head into the kitchen and I create a dish inspired by wherever the day leads me. If you like great food, new adventures, and living life fully, you're in the right place. And I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, I got to the beach just after sunrise. Oh, cold wind, gray skies, storms expected anytime. There was almost nobody there. It was perfect. Wild, windy, quiet, the kind of weather that makes the ocean feel alive. I'm always drawn to water, so this was exactly where I wanted to be at sunrise, storm clouds and all. My instructor was Andy. He's Australian, lives on the island, professional sandcastle builder, and he teaches sandcastle building to tourists, groups, corporate events, basically anybody willing to move a shocking amount of sand. And let me tell you something, this was not the little colorful bucket and moat situation that I was expecting. Andy, he's one of those people that sees things differently, very artistic, very creative. He is a little rough around the edges, which I liked. I trusted him. We hit it off immediately. So what surprised me the most was how architectural this was. Before we could ever create anything beautiful, we had to build a foundation strong enough to support it. And the secret is water. Too little water and the sand, of course, just falls apart. You add too much water and it gets soft and unstable. But when you get that ratio right, the sand becomes like concrete, solid, heavy, strong. I mean strong enough to hold a massive structure without moving. And wow, we moved over 1,000 pounds of sand building this thing. Trash cans, 5-gallon buckets, shovels. And remember, these were just tiny grains of sand, nothing impressive on their own. But together, with enough pressure, planning, and the right amount of water, they become unbelievably strong. Somewhere between hauling all these buckets of sand in the wind and realizing we were building something that wasn't going anywhere, I realized that maybe the life I want is built the exact same way, slowly, one small decision at a time, solid foundation. Then came the part I completely fell in love with, the carving. At first, I was terrified I was going to ruin the whole thing, because once you start carving, there's no undo button. Oh, no pressure. But little by little, I started getting the feel for it, the right pressure, the angles, and how carefully everything had to be shaped. And suddenly this giant block of sand started becoming something. Stone, wood, stairs, windows, tiny details that somehow looked so real. And the craziest part was how delicate it all was. One wrong cut and I could wipe out an entire section. But once that base was strong, everything else became artistry. Bringing this giant block to life absolutely lit me up creatively. And at a certain point, Andy stepped aside, and suddenly I wasn't just helping build that sandcastle anymore. I was finishing it, adding details, fixing mistakes, making decisions. I was making it mine. Oh my gosh, I got completely lost in it. The carving, the details, oh, the creativity of it all. I was so focused on what was right in front of me that I didn't even fully realize what we had created yet. There's something incredibly satisfying about creating something with your own hands. Three and a half hours later, I stepped back. There it was. And honestly, I almost fell over. I could not believe that we made that. I was genuinely emotional standing there looking at it because a few hours earlier, it didn't even exist. It was just an empty section of beach. It started as shifting sand and somehow became this massive, beautiful castle. And then we just left it there, standing in the wind while the tide slowly rolled in. And there was something beautiful about that too. Not everything meaningful has to last forever to matter. I have had an incredible day building this giant sandcastle. And now I want to end it in the sweetest way I know how. So after spending an entire day covered in sand, fighting the wind, champagne, and chocolate souffle. This is my favorite dessert. And honestly, one of the very few desserts dramatic enough to follow a giant sandcastle. I had originally planned to have dinner too, but I realized what I actually wanted was just champagne and chocolate souffle. Yep, so that's exactly what I had. It felt fabulous. A souffle is magical when it arrives, which honestly matched my day perfectly.
Wow, that is amazing.
Well, I made it home. I may never get the sand out of my hair, my camera equipment, but that's okay because I had a wonderful time building that sand castle. Andy was an outstanding instructor, and looking back at that and seeing the finished photos, I am amazed that I was able to create that. I was also amazed that I was able to find a souffle for dinner. I mean, what are the chances? Those are so difficult to find, and it is my absolute favorite dessert. And so I thought, you know what? That's what we're going to do when I get home. We're going to make a souffle. But I don't have a recipe, and I've never done this before. So I called on the culinary queen herself. And sure enough, Martha Stewart has a recipe for a chocolate souffle. And we're going to give it a shot today. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I have an extra little thermometer in there to make sure that it is actually at 350. So that's a good idea. The other thing you will need is a 1.5 quart, very straight-sided, tall-sided casserole type dish. Or if you have the little souffle ramekins, great. I have some, I have no idea where they're at. So we're gonna make one giant souffle today like the recipe calls for. Prep is absolutely essential when it comes to a souffle. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to butter our dish completely. And then all ingredients must be at room temperature. So I pulled everything out of the fridge a few hours ago, and it is all at room temperature now. So I have the butter evenly distributed. Looks great. Okay, here's what she says the important part of this is. Sugar. You have to have this completely coated, sides, bottom, you name it, in sugar, because that sugar is what is going to hold on to the souffle so it can actually do the rise. And you definitely do not want a souffle that has not risen. That is the beauty. So here we go. We're just going to get it all over the sides. Perfect. Dish is ready. Yay! I have a bowl sitting on top of a saucepan that has water in it. This is our double boiler. If you have a double boiler, use that. We are going to add 8 ounces of semi-sweet chopped chocolate right there. To that, we are going to add a 1/4 cup of water, and 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. And that is my own that I make. All we're doing here is melting. I'm just gonna gently stir this around, and we just want it barely melted. Then we're gonna take it off the heat and let it cool. It's going to get to a glossy consistency, and when it's completely nice and melted, we're gonna let it sit and cool for about 20 minutes. We'll check back then. It's been 20 minutes. Our chocolate is glossy and cooled, and it is now ready to continue. I've slightly beaten our egg yolks, and I'm just going to add those to the chocolate mixture. I'm just gonna mix that around until it is completely mixed together. Now we're gonna set this to the side. We're gonna take our 4 egg whites and put them in our mixer bowl. Okay. To that, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. We're going to put our mixer on high for about 2 minutes. We want sort of medium, pillowy peaks, nothing stiff yet. So about 2 minutes. Here we go. And here's what we want right here, a very medium peak. I'm gonna actually take a close-up of this for you so you can see it. And now to this, we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of sugar. We're gonna beat on high for 5 minutes until it's glossy and we have those nice stiff peaks, but do not overbeat this because then you're gonna have to start over. So glossy, stiff peaks, 5 minutes. Here we go. And there we are, perfect peaks. Lovely. Egg whites are super fragile. Thus, the souffle is super fragile. What we're going to do is we're going to very, very gently incorporate these egg whites in 2 batches into our souffle base. So I'm going to take half of the egg whites and very gently lift them out into the bowl with our base. And I'm just going to, in a very gentle upward motion, incorporate and barely fold those egg whites into this chocolate mixture. Can you see that? Just until it is just mixed and not one stir over that. And then we're going to take the rest and we're going to do the exact same thing until it is just barely folded in. Okay, I can just see a few white streaks here and there. I've been very gentle. Now I'm going to gently again put this into our prepared souffle dish, and I want to smooth the top over, make it as even as possible. I don't want any little crevices down the edge. And if you need to, just turn your dish so it's easier for you to reach. Our oven is ready. It's at exactly 350 degrees. We're going to put it in, and it is going to bake for 30 to 35 minutes. Set a timer. Do not open the oven door at least for the first 25 to 30 minutes. That is critical. You'll ruin the whole thing. So it's going to go in the oven 30 to 35 minutes. So it's been 35 minutes exactly, and I have not opened that door. So I have no idea what that souffle looks like. But with a prayer and a lot of self-confidence, you and I are going to find out together. That is beautiful, just gorgeous. Now, I do think that I cooked it in a dish that was about a half a quart too large, but it's what I had. So we're gonna make do, but it looks beautiful. Now the test. We're gonna dig right in and see, right in the center. Oh my goodness. to serve it immediately and hot. Now, if I wanted to look prettier, I would have put some powdered sugar on it, but I'm not a powdered sugar girl. So I'm leaving the powdered sugar off. You can also serve it with some ice cream. And yes, it is supposed to be a little bit soupy inside. Nailed it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, and it's crispy on the edge. Great recipe, Martha. Wow, I am really happy with my first souffle. Wow, you should try that at home. It is fantastic. And if you cook it in the right size dish, it'll make a great presentation. Martha Stewart, if you're watching this episode, I would love to make a souffle with you. Until next time, eat deliciously, live fabulously, and thank you for letting me whisk you away. I'm gonna finish this now.